Well, looks like I've got a commission.
The greatest part about this commission is I get some free license on how to go ahead with the paint scheme. Now, the person I'm doing this for really likes the color orange on these sisters, so I've got one in my mind that kind of works based on the different kinds of fires and flames that I've painted in the past. But getting it to look good on armor, which is not fire or flames, is a completely different story. So right now, I'm happy to show you all inventing a brand new paint scheme for these Sisters of Slaanesh. Slaanesh of Battle. Sisters of Battle. Look, in the lore, they're supposed to be this pious group, but in reality, they are a very different thing. In practice, though, we have a group that is really into mind-altering drugs and narcotics, BDSM, torture, inappropriate acts with children, and other vices not limited to the enticement of others for sexual favors by sharing boudoir photos. I see some artistic license has been taken with human anatomical proportions. Anyway, let's get to painting. A lot of development that went to this paint scheme didn't work right in the beginning. This includes what I normally start off with, black ink. It just didn't want to stick to this primer, so I eventually had to move on to the plain old black acrylic paint. You ever know something probably isn't going to work, but you try it anyway, and then you're disappointed that it didn't work? Yeah, here's the start of that. One of the variants I'm coming up with is a paint scheme that's going to be black with an orange cape, and I'm trying to do them both at the same time to save myself time. In the interest of foreshadowing, that's going to come back to bite me. I use this lighter shade of orange to accompany the deeper shade of orange I've already put on the armor, and it's one that I usually use for flames. We're going to see if it ends up being part of this paint scheme or if it's going to be something that I'll end up ditching and finding a different use for. When I develop a paint scheme, I don't paint the entire model at once, just bits and pieces. I'll try parts that work on a different limb, make some adjustments, and go from there until I develop something that I actually like. Time to deviate away from the flame style that I've been using into something completely different. I'm going to be trying out some of these flesh tones to see how they work with the orange, and use a few different techniques for applying them. Right now things look pretty bad, and I'm not too happy with how things are, but I'm not very upset either. I know I'm zeroing in on a set of colors that I like, it's just how to go ahead and apply them on the model to get things to how I think it should look. I'm taking a flesh tone and just trying it on the very edge for a highlight instead of all over the armor for a highlight. Since this model is a prototype, I'm just going to start this limb over clean on the base color that I know I want to use. I did like the flaming orange and how it worked with the base color orange, so I'm going to stick with that. Now I'm taking one of the flesh tones and using it just as an edge highlight, and I think that we're getting really close to what the paint scheme is going to look like for this model. Trying to use red as my deep color for all the shadowing on the model is just the wrong way to go. So I went out and picked up this rust colored ink, and I'm going to try it on here just to see how everything works. I have faith in the Emperor. Well, not really, but I do have faith that that ink is going to end up doing the job, so I'm going to put my base color over the rest of the model. It's not surprising that I'm using this orange. Just going to go and put in my highlight over my base. I've got a horrible secret. I don't actually remember which one of the flesh tones I actually used as my highlight. So I'm just grabbing one that looks okay now, and I'm going to go with it. Time to get started on the metalwork parts of the power armor. These are going to be the joints and also the metal trim that I'm going to use. Time to use some magic wash to throw some shade on the model. Well, I'm not throwing shade at the model. You know what? Modern vernacular is just awful. Base armor is done, and I want to get to work on her face, so I'm going to start off with the normal flesh wash. And by working on the face, I mean painting the bolt gun. So let's break out the bolt gun metal. The bolt gun case is going to be white, so I'm going to do all of the dark shading on it now, because I will then be able to paint over that instead of having to do the white color on the casing twice. Black and white are two of the more difficult colors to paint until you know the trick, and that is you don't paint your blacks black or your whites white. You paint them a little bit off, so an off-white or a super dark gray. I'm going to be using this light gray and light blue to go into the bolt gun recesses. And now I can use pure white as my highlight on the bolt gun. I want the cloak to appear lined, so I'm going to use an old bleached bone and off-white to create the effect. Now it's time to return to the face and try and get everything done right without messing up the flesh wash that I put on already. Don't forget to dot the I's. Remember how I said I was going to try and not mess up the flesh wash? Yeah, I messed up the flesh wash. A lot of Sisters of Battle, for some reason, have white hair. Or I guess it's platinum blonde? I don't know. But not this one. This one is going to have normal plain old brown hair, and I'm going to go from a dark brown to a medium brown to a light brown. If anything, Sisters of Battle are badass, so you gotta add a little badass to the hair. I'm putting in a touch of purple, because it also pops against the orange. Now I'm picking out the little details. These are going to be the grenades, these are going to be the buttons on her backpack, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of shading to get them to stick out and look like they belong on the model. I am actually going to base this model, and to do that, all you need is a little bit of Elmer's glue, some good old-fashioned flock, and a junk brush. This one is synthetic, so it washes off really easy if you catch it right after you're done. And to nobody's surprise, the 90-year-old Elmer's glue was completely dried out, so I'm just going to steal some from the kids. I'm doing the base as a dirt/mud, so I'm going to start out with a whole lot of really dark brown and work up in lightness from there. I don't have any new basing materials, but I do have static grass, and that still looks good. Applying it is easy. Just add a bead of glue, smash the static grass on top, and then tap the bottom of the model to shake off the excess and to get the grass to stand up. Last part on the base, the obligatory black ring around the bottom. Time to fix up the black cloak a little bit, and that's just to go ahead and add additional depth to it. Black by itself actually can look alright as long as you have a good finish, but I'm going to try and push it just a little bit more by adding some gray. Before we get to the finished Sisters prototype, you remember in the beginning where I said this was a commission piece? here is what he paid for the commission. And now the finished model. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it.